It's funny how people can underestimate the consequences of their actions. My name is Ryan. The best way to describe me is to say that I am a lover and a mild-mannered man who gives his wife everything she wants. It took me 2 marriages, but now I finally understand that being standoffish and giving everything to the one you love can lead to contempt and disrespect. This will never happen again. These spoiled women think they can do something and hide it from their partners. As long as they never find out, everything is fine. They hide their guilt in various ways until they are caught, and then suddenly they regret it and explain that they did not want their spouse to find out about it and get hurt. Do they even hear themselves speak? What are we supposed to think when they say they never wanted you to find out? Do they realize that they admit they are doing it behind your back and only regret that they got caught? What an insult this is. I am convinced that these women cannot understand normal thinking. Sandy and I met after leaving a dysfunctional relationship. She spent 3 years with her boyfriend, and Billy left her for a younger, more attractive girl. Sandy left the relationship hurt, and with self-esteem issues due to being abandoned by the man she loved. She never got over Billy, and that always bothered me on some level. I am 6 years older than Sandy. I was married for 5 years to an amazingly hot, sexy woman who rocked my world. I was madly in love with her and expected to spend the rest of my life with my ex-wife, Charlotte. However, she took several lovers behind my back while I was completely enamored with her. It took me a year to find out about her infidelity, and it caused me a lot of pain. I left her and swore I would never let it happen again. After this, I realized that trust would be an issue for me in any new relationship. Sandy and I knew about each other's baggage. I helped Sandy overcome her self-esteem issues. She went to the gym and gave her body an amazing figure. She spent all her free time shopping for new clothes, spending hours in the beauty salon and on the tennis courts. With my help and support, she turned into a confident, beautiful woman. In turn, knowing my history, Sandy worked hard to help me overcome my trust issues. She always let me know that I was her only love and how lucky she was to have found me. Every day she tried to tell me how much she loved me and made sure that all my wishes were fulfilled. The sex was still great, and we had it at least 4 times a week. We were still kissing and cuddling on the couch and loving each other. We even started talking about children. We were each other's soulmates. Life was good, or so I thought. A week after our 6th anniversary, my world was turned upside down. I noticed that my wife was wearing a dress I had never seen before and looked stunning, which was odd for a late weekday morning. Now, I haven't been spying on my wife, but we do have a CCTV system at home that I sometimes watch when I'm bored at work. I enjoy watching our dog Brandy, my little dachshund, as she has become a stress reliever from my stressful job as a bond broker. However, when I saw the live video feed that morning, I became curious. There was the love of my life in a very short, sexy red dress and very high heels. Her hair was styled and her makeup was stunning. I hadn't seen her this sexy in years, which made my stomach churn, and I became worried. I immediately called my loving wife to see if I could find out what she was up to. I dialed her number on the phone. "Hey, baby, just sitting here thinking about you. How was your day? Tennis today?" "Hello, honey. I miss you. There is nothing planned for today. No tennis today because Kara hurt her ankle, so I took the day off." "Oh, that's too bad. I know how much you love to play. What are you going to do then?" "I am not sure. I don't have anything planned. Maybe I'll go to the gym." "Would you like to meet for lunch? I can come home and pick you up." "That's so sweet, baby, but not today. I'm a little bloated, and I don't really feel like eating right now. I'll just have a protein shake at the gym. See you tonight. I love you, baby." I said goodbye without my usual, "I love you." I'm sure she picked up on this because I always say "I love you" before we end our calls. She lied to me, and I need to find out why. Of course, some things die hard, and although I trusted Sandy after all these years, I still had a GPS tracker in her car that I rarely used. I originally placed it there for security, but unfortunately, I have now used it to spy on my wife. As soon as I hung up, I walked out of my office, walked over to my car, and turned on its tracker. She was heading towards the city center, and I drove in that direction. My office was near the city center, and 15 minutes later I caught up with her, noticing her pulling into the garage. I parked on the street and waited in the doorway for her to come out of the garage. 5 minutes later, my beautiful wife, in her high heels and sexy dress, was heading towards Fellini's, an upscale restaurant. I stood there, feeling my stomach clench, and prayed that I wasn't being tricked by another woman. When I saw her waving to the man in front of the restaurant, I knew I was in trouble. I moved closer, trying to stay out of sight, and saw him greet her with a kiss. They exchanged a few words as he took her hand and walked inside. I quickly crossed the street and watched through the window as they stood in front of the hostess, their arms around each other's waists. I noticed Sandy leaning lovingly against his shoulder. Tears began to fill my eyes until anger rose within me. I wiped my eyes, took out my phone, and started taking some pictures through the window. As I started to take them off, I saw him turn to Sandy and kiss her passionately. I took a few pictures just as she was kissing him back. My heart broke as she wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him even deeper. At that moment, I turned on the video camera and captured their loving kiss. The combination of pain in my heart and rage in my head led me down a dark path. Before I could decide what to do, the hostess led them to their table. My blood boiled when I recognized this man, and it was Billy, her ex-boyfriend. The guy who had left her and ruined her life, and now she was back in his arms. She knew how I felt about him, and that I had made it clear to her that she should never speak to him again. She clearly did not agree with my wishes. My anger took over as I realized that in just the last hour, she had lied to me, dressed sexy to meet her ex, kissed him passionately, and was spending the entire day with him. This level of disrespect and humiliation was unacceptable and something I could no longer live with. The promise I made to myself after my last marriage prevented me from being patient and accepting this level of disrespect. It was all over, and all that was left was to hear more lies and excuses from my soon-to-be ex-wife. Still full of anger, I drove back to the office and ended the day at my desk, trying to figure out how this could happen again. After feeling sorry for myself for the next 5 hours, I headed home already knowing my next move. I wondered if Sandy would tell me the truth about her day or continue to deceive me, as that would make my final step easier. With a lot of effort, I was able to suppress my anger and went home to face the end of my marriage. As I pulled into my driveway, I found myself crying over the loss of the woman I loved and respected. Sandy was setting the table with a delicious dinner, wearing a cute outfit and acting very kind to me when I walked into the kitchen. She kissed me deeply and told me how much she missed me. Typical cheating wife bullshit, I thought. The bitch tried to ease her guilt and make amends by showing more love than she had in the last 6 months. No matter how hard I tried to act normal, it obviously wasn't working when she looked at me and asked, "Honey, are you okay?" Something happened? I poured myself a tall glass of Mr. Daniels, tried to smile, relax, and said, "Everything is fine. It's just been a stressful day. Let me change and get myself ready for dinner, and I'll be down soon." In the bedroom, I changed my clothes and sat on the bed, finishing my drink and letting the elixir wash over my body. Having calmed down, I went down to the kitchen and saw my beautiful wife, smiling and happy, with dinner laid on the table. She was in great spirits, clearly enjoying her day with her boyfriend. As we sat there together, I started a conversation. "This is a wonderful dinner, Sandy, and you dressed so beautifully for me today, thank you. I love you, honey, and I like to cook for you," she said with a satisfied smile. We sat in awkward silence for a few minutes while we ate. I noticed Sandy looking at me, wondering what was bothering me. Did she feel guilty? Will she tell me the truth about today? I'll find out in the next few minutes. "So, tell me about your day and what you did for lunch," I said, without any threat in my voice. "Well, after you called, I went to the gym for a few hours, ate a protein bar, and then came home to make you dinner." "Quite a boring day," she offered as an answer. She saw my face and noticed that my eyes were filled with tears. and quickly looked down at her plate. In a quiet voice, I said, "So, Sandy, how do we do this? Are we just going to meet with the lawyers, or do you want to see a psychologist first?" "What are you talking about, honey?" "About divorce, of course," I answered. "Stop being stupid. What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the end of our marriage, divorce, separation, figuring out how we can do it and still be friends." "I don't understand. Why do you want to get a divorce?" "Really? I'll give you a few minutes to think about your question before I answer." She suddenly became nervous. Her hands fiddled with her glass nervously, and she no longer looked me in the eye. She was silent for several minutes. "Did you follow me today?" "No," I lied, knowing it didn't really matter, but for some reason I didn't want her to know. "Why are you asking me if I was following you? Is there anything I should know?" I could tell she was still confused and didn't know what to say. Like all scammers, they deny it. As expected, she said that nothing was happening, and she didn't understand anything. "Why are you asking me about divorce?" With a sad expression on my face, I looked into her eyes for a long time, hoping that she would open up and tell me the truth. After a long silence, I said, "Well, let me show you what's bothering me, Sandy." I opened my phone and showed her one photo of him and Billy kissing when they met outside the restaurant. This photograph could be explained as a friendly kiss in greeting. I didn't want to show her any more pictures until I heard more about her lies. Her jaw dropped and I saw tears welling up in her eyes. She, of course, came up with excuses. "Honey, I can explain. It was just a kiss of greeting. Nothing happened." "Where did you get this photo from?" "So, how's Billy doing these days, baby?" "I'll tell you how I got this photo. I was crossing the street, leaving a software store, when I thought I saw you walk into the restaurant, hand in hand. I crossed the street and went to the window to see you standing there with him, hugging you with one arm. My first thought was that it wasn't you, but of course I was wrong. It was you. My second thought is, why is she wearing that sexy dress and high heels? She never dresses like that for me again. Then I noticed that you were with Billy, and everything immediately fell into place. I started taking some photos right when you leaned in and kissed him, and that's how I got this photo. The next photo I showed her was of her with her arms around his neck and her short dress riding up to her butt, which was on full display. You really looked sexy in that dress, and your hair and makeup looked spectacular. Were you heading to a modeling shoot or getting a job as a girl of easy manners? Tell me, why did you dress like that for him? I don't remember the last time you wore something so sexy for me." She dropped her head into her hands and began to cry, and I looked at her intently, waiting for an answer. When she remained silent, I continued, "You know that my new phone S22 has an amazing camera, and it allows me to zoom in with great clarity. Look, let me show you," I said, moving towards her left arm, which was wrapped around Billy's neck. I zoomed in on her ring finger, now free of any wedding rings, and held the image up to her face. "No wedding rings today? It's funny. I don't remember you ever taking them off in the entire time we were together. Today must really have been a special day. Now, do you understand why I'm talking about divorce, dear? You lied to me this morning about your day, you took off your wedding rings, dressed like a slut to meet her old lover, and lied to me again about her day a few minutes ago. You sit here and continue to lie to my face and say that you went to the gym today and didn't eat anything for lunch. You put on your sexiest outfit for your ex-lover and spend the day with him while I work on making our lives better. You broke your promise to never see him again. You kissed and flirted with another man in public, treated me like a fool, and just lied to me. I don't know if you had sex with him today or what, but it really doesn't matter. Whatever you say will be a lie in my mind, but what you did showed me that you don't keep your promises, and you will lie to me to hide everything. You tried your best to look good for your ex-lover. You were intimate with him, and you abandoned your marriage by removing the rings, and then you lied to me over and over again. In my opinion, this is a good reason for divorce, and you know it." Sandy was shocked to the core. She just realized that she hadn't really thought this through, and the way Ryan discussed it all made her feel like a betrayed wife. Up until this point, she had just thought of it as a little teasing and flirting. Nothing serious. For the first time since Billy approached her, She realized that this had become an emotional relationship that could easily be seen as cheating on her husband. Maybe not physical, but certainly emotional. She was still crying and knew that if this had been her husband's affair, she would have behaved the same way. "What have I done?" she said to herself. Her heart ached, and she felt sick to her stomach because of the pain she had caused her husband. She had to get through to Ryan and save this marriage. "Ryan, you have to believe me. Nothing happened. After lunch, we went our separate ways. But you have to believe me. Nothing happened. It was just lunch," she said, sobbing and looking for a way out. "Now I understand what it looks like. And if things had been different, I would feel the same way you do now. And I'm so sorry. Could you please try to forgive my stupidity? This is beyond stupid, since you did this to your ex-lover, the one person you promised to avoid. Can you explain why you dressed like that for him without your wedding rings? Can you explain why you held hands and kissed him? Can you explain why you kept lying to my face? Tell me, darling, does this mean anything to you? And yes, if it were the other way around, I'm sure you would feel completely different. Ryan, I know it looks bad, but I took off my rings when I painted my nails. I forgot them when I realized I was late. It sounds lame, and I can't change it, but I can only promise you that I didn't try to hide them. He knows we are married. He knows you're married, but he still wants to see you and kiss you passionately in public, and you agreed to everything. This is a lame excuse. Dating your ex-lover behind my back and lying about it is a deal-breaker in my opinion." A little annoyed, she said, "I'm not sure what to say, other than it was just lunch with a friend and I just wanted to look good." "Well, it doesn't matter. You lied to me and met him. Do you think I'm a complete idiot? I know that this meeting should have been planned in advance, and you hid it from me without even bothering to mention it. And when I saw you two kissing like that, it became clear that you wanted more than I could give you. Ryan, honey, we can't get a divorce over something like this." Nothing happened. He was in town and invited me to lunch. I know I shouldn't have left, and I know how jealous you are, but we had a long relationship. I thought that one lunch after not seeing him for so many years wouldn't be a big deal. I think I dressed special to show him what he lost when he left me. I kind of wanted to tell him straight to his face what he had lost and how happy I was. It still hurts me when I remember how he left me then, and I wanted a little revenge. Yes, I kissed him, but it wasn't a romantic kiss, more like two friends just meeting or saying goodbye. You have to believe me. I don't want anything to do with him. Please, baby, let's figure this out. I will do everything that you want." "Really? This mean nothing? Will you do whatever I want?" Hearing that she had a chance to save her marriage, she smiled, wanting to hear what she needed to do, and said, "Yes, of course. I'll do whatever you want, baby." "Okay, Sandy, I'll give you one chance, and one chance only. I have just one request. Let me see your cell phone." "For what?" She looked at me with a puzzled expression on her face. "Well, Sandy, if it doesn't mean anything, then give me your phone. I want to see if there are any text messages for him and what you two said to each other." "No, you don't have to see this," she said, looking at the floor. She knew that if I read the messages, it would hurt me and reveal a lot of things she didn't want me to see. That's exactly what I thought. So let's get back to my original question. How do we want to do this? She started crying and asking me to forgive her, and that she would never do this again. It brought back heartbreaking memories of my first marriage. I couldn't believe I was living through this nightmare again. This time I wasn't going to believe all those lies and let it continue. "Wait, please, wait. Ryan, if I give you the phone, will you promise to give me another chance? You should know that I love you and have never cheated on you before. I may have gotten into stupid online relationships, and yes, with my ex-lover, but I was stupid and acted like a teenage girl. The flirting and compliments were pleasant, and it all stroked my ego. I know how childish that sounds. If I give you the phone, you have to promise that you'll give me another chance." "I can't do this, Sandy, but I promise you that if you don't give me the phone, we're 100% done. My next action will be to call Mark Wilson, the lawyer I already spoke with, and ask him to file the divorce papers this week." She knew that there was no other choice, and she knew exactly what I would read. Their romantic texts for the last 2 months. All she could hope for now was that I realized it was a stupid emotional mistake and she was still completely mine. She still believed that since there was no sex, I would understand and forgive her. In her mind, she needed to make it clear to me that she had never had physical sex with him or anyone else. When Ryan opened the text messaging app, he saw Sandy sitting with her head in her hands, crying, and quietly saying, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for being stupid and an idiot. I love you, Ryan, and no one else does. The text messages said something completely different. The ones that really hit him hard were from Sandy to Bill. I still love you, was the first phrase that cut like a knife. I missaid you. There was one more thing that caused his anger. Otherwise, everything was as one would expect. They talked about old times and how much they missed being together, but the last few messages hit Ryan hard between the eyes. When she told Billy that her marriage was stale and that she was bored, and Billy said that he missed her and couldn't wait for them to be one, it hurt so much that he wanted to scream. Well, that opened my eyes. I will forgive you eventually, Sandy, but I won't stay married to someone I can't trust, and it's clear from your actions that I can't trust you. What I just read is what I expected and what I will not allow myself to live with. Maybe your boyfriend can make your life more exciting, and maybe he'll take you back now that he knows what he's been missing. Sandy, I will miss you, but I will find a woman who wants to be exclusive to me and will not disrespect me with lies and secrets. Ryan, what should I do to prove my love to you and make you change your mind? Nothing. When I saw you walking hand in hand with him, standing there and him hugging you and kissing you, it broke my heart. Now knowing that you were sending him pictures of yourself and telling him that you still loved him, and then telling him that you were tired of our marriage was more than any normal man could bear. It's sad, but I feel like all our time together was wasted and I was nothing but a fool. Working hard, planning a family, taking care of you and our home, only to discover that you are dating an ex-lover. Do you realize that if you had told me the truth when I asked you about your day, how would I have understood it? I mean, I can almost understand what you might have wanted to do based on this story. But the problem is that you hid it from me and lied about it. No, I know that if I didn't find out, you would never have told me. That's the problem, baby. If you told me I was wrong, you would have told me everything about your date with your ex-lover after you got home. Don't worry, I already know the answer. Trust, loyalty, and honesty are my main values, and you trampled them without a second thought. You knew how this happened to me in the past, and yet you did it without thinking about us. If you called me and told me what you were doing, I wouldn't be happy, but I would let you go to lunch. Now I have to wonder if you've done this before. If we stayed together, I'd have to wonder if what you're telling me is true. What do you do when I'm not around? Are you with him or with other men? I can't spend my days thinking like this, and it's not fair to both of us. How can I just forget how easily you lied to me? Yes, kissing him and looking sexy to him is disturbing. Not having wedding rings is harmful, but lies and deceit are unacceptable. What I do know is that I won't live like this anymore. Ryan, you're right, and I made a stupid mistake. I lied because I knew you'd be angry, but I had to do it. Even if it was a mistake, I needed to somehow calm down. I thought that one lunch and I would take revenge without harm to myself and without foul play. But now I see what I did, and I'm truly sorry for it. I would never do anything to hurt you. I promise. Can we work on this? I want to be transparent and open like you. My problem is that I never want to hurt anyone and will avoid it if possible. Now I see where not being honest is actually worse. Well, honesty and transparency are the only things that could save this marriage. But you weren't transparent and honest until you were forced into submission. The fact that you didn't let me read your text messages until you realized you had no other choice sealed your fate. Tears rolled down her face as she sat there, knowing how these messages exposed her dishonesty and lack of trust. She knew I wouldn't accept it and eventually realized that her emotional relationship with another man was just as destructive as if she had gotten him into bed. She told herself that she would never make a mistake like that again. Unfortunately, our happy marriage has come to an end. We signed the papers and officially divorced 3 months later. We sold the house, split our money, and parted as friends. No reconciliation, no revenge, or hatred. All that remains are the smoldering ashes of a once happy marriage, destroyed by deceit, lies, and loss of trust. I continued dating, but after getting burned twice, marriage was not in my future. Sandy and Billy slept together, and 2 months later, Sandy became pregnant. Billy dumped Sandy as soon as he heard about the pregnancy and told her to take care of it because he wasn't ready for kids. The next morning, Billy disappeared, leaving Sandy with the baby in her arms. I heard from her sister Debbie that she was just a shell of her former self. Her self-esteem was damaged again. Sandy remained in a constant state of depression when she lost her child after a violent fall down the long stairs in her apartment. Her life has gone from heaven to living hell, all because of her vanity and selfishness. She simply could not forgive herself for ruining our happy marriage and losing my love and respect. Trust, loyalty, respect. Screw one and you lose all three.
Thanks for hanging out and listening. If you liked the story, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Make sure to check out our other wild tales right here on the end screen. Catch you in the next story.